Barrera, one of your public servants here in City of Salinas, so thank you for being here. I think the reason I've invited you, and I want to thank I'm going to ask the elected officials that are here, even the representatives of our state and federal government, if you folks can join me, because this is something that we represent, the people of Salinas. So all the electeds, Dr. Katowski, thank you. You know, before this meeting, I had several pastors to open this meeting up with the word of prayer. I think the important thing is, however you feel about who your higher power is, who God is in your life, I think we need direction. And as an elected official, I look for all resources, positive resources that we can have. I've invited these good people here that you've elected. You've elected us to improve the quality of life for our citizens, not only here in Salinas, but in Monterey County. The Chief of Police will be saying a few words in a little bit as well. I've invited Dr. Katowski to speak on the education part as well. And we also have some electeds here on education that I would like them to feel free to speak as they will. The reason I'm here today is to ask our resources, mom and dad. I need mom and dad to be vigilant parents. You know, you keep hearing us say we don't have money, but we do have resources, and that's the family. If mom and dad are vigilant for their children that live in their home, they will do a lot of good for this community. I know some of us, we work long hours. Some of us work in the fields as laborers. Some of us work in offices, professional, but it doesn't matter what your socioeconomic is. What matters is that if you're a parent, you and I are responsible for our children. Not government, not the teacher, not the police department, but you as mom and dad. So I ask you, mom and dad, whatever, if you're doing a great job in your family, I salute you and I want to commend you for being an effective parent. But for those parents that are out there, you know, our children killing each other. It's not people that are coming from the outside, it's children that are living in our own bedrooms. Children that are related to us. So I'm asking you, befriend your teacher, befriend whoever can assist you with your child. And if you're having problems with your child and you know there's something wrong, you have several friends right here in front of you. We're ready to help. Do we have the answers? I don't think we have all the answers, but what we do have is we have each other. And we want to encourage you to be a parent. I'm going to ask Dr. Katowski right now, because if your child is truant, if your child doesn't want to go to school, that child is a candidate to be a gang member. Not because they want to be a gang member, but because they feel the pressure. If your child is not doing well in school, we need to figure out how to improve that. Because when there's a child that's eager to go to school, you're going to see a child that's going to be a productive citizen. Somebody that feels good about themselves, even though they're going to be challenged by the negative element, they are going to want to do the right thing. And I'm going to ask Dr. Katowski to speak on that area. So thank you for being here.
Thank you, Councilman Barrera. The very first sign that a student is having problems is going to emerge when they are not attending school. When we start to see truancy issues, immediately we know that something's going on. That is the time to start to get to the bottom of the problem within the family and within the school, to really zero in on what's the underlying cause, what's happening, what can we all do together to ensure that that child is successful and is coming to school. And every child that is successful is going to be there. It's in their little human spirit to be successful, and they want to be successful in school. So the question becomes, what's happening in the peer group, what's happening in school, what's happening at home, what's happening in the community? And there are really three key areas that we have to look at, and that is caring relationships, opportunities for participation, and high expectations. And that is among peers, at home, at school, and in the community. We're going to be administering now to about 55% of our schools are administering the California Healthy Kids Survey to find out specifically in school communities how are children perceiving those relationships, those three things: caring relationships, high expectations, and meaningful opportunities for participation. And we all have to get together around that. The family, the school, and the community, looking at what are we doing to make sure that they are feeling that they're supported in all those areas. And then we're going to see them thriving. But the first sign is really when we start to see children disengaging. We have to connect the disconnected, connect them before the problems become worse. And that's what our effort together, and why Councilman Barrera said it was so important to connect with the teacher and to connect with the school, and for the school likewise to connect with the parent and with the family, and the teachers to know that every child has people that are caring for them everywhere, because all kids are our kids and we need to be there for them every day. This is a new initiative of our Monterey County Children's Council, and we're working on this throughout our communities to engage everyone around that fact that they're all our kids and we all need to be there, not only at home, at school, but also in the community where you see them and you engage with them as citizens. So together we can do this, and together we can make every child know that they are a success, and there's just so much hope and potential, and they can soar to boundless heights, and they'll do that if we all work together. Thank you.
You know, one of the things that has been happening within the last 2 to 3 weeks, it's one thing for the negative element, unproductive citizens, and people that are unlawful to start shooting each other, but now they're shooting at our police officers. We should not accept that type of behavior. There is no reason why our police officers should be shot at. So mom and dad, I'm encouraging you, if for some reason there's a problem at home, and I can't specify this hard enough, if there's a problem with your child, we need to deal with that. Because your child, instead of just being a home issue, he or she's going to be a society issue. We just had a young woman that not only did they shoot her, but they burned her at a motel. A young mother, whatever her issue was, I don't know. But she doesn't deserve to be treated that way. But not only did they kill her, but they decided to burn her body as well. And you know what? Our police officers, they put their lives on the line here. And we're starting to see more and more that now people are not just stopping and giving up and say, officer, did I do something wrong? Now they're starting to shoot at our officers. I'm totally against that. So before I invite our mayor to the podium, I'm going to ask Chief McMillan just to say a few words. And again, I don't want to specify today that we don't have enough staff, that we don't have the resources. We do have the resources. We have the family. And then when mom and dad decide to be effective parents, we will find out that things will change in our community. So let's work as a team. Chief McMillan, thank you for being here.
Thanks, Councilmember Barrera. I appreciate you gathering these good folks here today. Thank you all for being here. One of the questions I've been fielding all too frequently this week is are we safe? We've been experiencing a true spike in violence, as we have seen all too often in the past here in Salinas. But here's what people need to understand. As I look around the people in this room, and really the people represented by the people in this room, I will say Salinas is a safe place. Sometimes it may not seem like it. Salinas is a safe place. The people who are at risk in Salinas are the people who are closest to gangs, people who engage in a high-risk lifestyle. They are the ones who are getting hurt, generally. They're making poor choices because they're poorly supported, and they have come up through a series of social failures that have led them to a life that is close to gangs. That puts them at risk. Looked at the other way, people who are not close to gangs, who are involved in pro-social activities, who have strong relationships, strong neighborhood ties, strong relationships with their church, with their school, with their community, they have nothing to fear in this town. And that's important for people to remember as they go on about their daily lives in Salinas. The thing about young men is they want to belong. Young men uniquely want to belong to a group, to identify with a group. They want to put on a uniform. They want to be part of a team. They want to be able to identify with another group of young men. And they will do that at the chess club. They will do that at their youth group at church. They will do that on their soccer team, or their football team, or their baseball team. And if those options are not available, they will find another group that will hang a uniform on them and give them love, acceptance, understanding, support, and value. And those uniforms will be red rags and blue rags. And the way that they're valued is by being told, nobody else in society wanted you, nobody else in society supports you, but here among us, among other gang members, you will be loved and supported and given respect. That's basically how kids end up in gangs. The scarce resources of the Salinas Police Department are currently focused on removing very dangerous men from our society, and we're doing it successfully. It is that act that put 7 Salinas police officers, a highway patrolman, and a sheriff's deputy in front of a man who chose to point a gun at him, and resulted in officer-involved shooting. It's those ongoing efforts that resulted in recent arrests of very high-level and important gang members who are driving the violence in Salinas. That is the responsibility of the Salinas Police Department, removing the most dangerous people from society. But everyone here has a public safety responsibility, and that's looking around your community, engaging, turning on your lights, opening your windows. If you see a kid who needs something to do, help find that kid something to do. If you see a parent who's working long hours and lives out of fear in the shadows of our society, tell them they have nothing to fear by coming out of the shadows and participating in our community. Help them to support their own kids, because there are a lot of parents out there who want to do the right thing, who simply don't have the skills or the access. They need to be supported, and they need to be supported by the good people of Salinas. And there are lots of people out there. So as I've said many times before, law enforcement and arresting bad people, that's the job of the Salinas Police Department. But public safety is everyone's responsibility, so I encourage you to participate. Thank you for coming out today.
Mayor Joe Gunther.
Good morning. It's pretty sad that we can get such a great turnout because of bad events. Unfortunately, this isn't a good event, except for one thing. You see that the community is against what's going on today. And I think if we all work harder, we're going to get this community back under control. I know the chief and his staff are working very hard. They have the full support of the council and of the community. We haven't had anyone call up and say we don't need any more police. And we're well aware that everybody's talked about tax measures, and we're working on that. It's not something you do overnight. But I think in the meantime, I don't hear a lot of phone calls coming into 911 saying the neighborhood kid has a gun. And I challenge the community up. It's time for them to step up and to call in when bad things are happening and not wait until there's somebody laying in the gutter. It's up to this community to step forward and to take control of the city. I'm not suggesting anyone arm themselves. That's why we have the police. But I think people need to start taking back their own community and not be ashamed of where we're from, because a lot of people are coming to this town. This weekend alone, we have, I think, 56 softball teams coming to our sports complex from all over the state. We are not a bad town. We are getting a bad reputation from a very small portion of the people. And we got to start opening up our voices and be heard as being in charge of this community. So I challenge everybody here, everybody that's watching, if you see it, call it in. Our police will be there. If it's a serious crime, they're going to take care of it, but they need your support, and not just the comments that they saw one of them at Starbucks. I hope I see a cop at Starbucks. That means things are calmed down. So when we leave here today, we should go out there with the positive thought, this is our town and we're in charge of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. You know, I invited a good political friend of mine. His name is David Serena from Monterey County Office of Education. I think right next to me, you know, sometimes as elected officials, we don't always agree on our politics. But it doesn't mean that we can't unite together on a common good for our families. Politics with any public servant should be secondary. Enhancing the quality of life of our families, of our children, should be primary. That's why I'm a constant believer in prevention. You train a child in the way that he should go. Build a positive self-image. That child, because he or she is excited about what they're doing, they will bring along other kids to do positive things. But you know what? It's these children that don't have a chance, that don't know how to read. They don't like school for it because they're not prepared for the homework or they're not prepared for the test. That's sad that a child should go through that. But when a child has a mom and dad or a legal guardian or a grandpa, I'm a grandpa. I love being a grandpa. I think those children will grow up to be productive. And when they see Chief McMillan, they say, there goes my friend. Instead of turn around, you're arrested. A lot of our young kids need help. Please don't be afraid of them. They're actually afraid of you. Children that are out there walking the street are looking for direction. As adults, let's give it to them. Let's give it to them, please. Mr. David Serena.
Tony, thank you for your leadership and for putting all of us together for this press conference. I think it's very important that we address some of these issues from a variety of different perspectives. But first of all, I want to offer my condolences to all those family members who lost members of their family this past week, last week, and for the last 20 years. For the last 20 years, our community has been feeling this grief of losing members of our community to violence. And I think all of us have worked very hard at trying to address some of these problems by developing programs and resources for young children, for parents who are in need of assistance. I think this community has to be patted on its back for doing everything that they can in terms of trying to find solutions. But we cannot get away from the fact that in somewhere we're failing as parents, as teachers, as elected officials. We can't seem to bring that number down. And somewhere along, we need to kind of regroup and look at ourselves and look what else is that we can do. Where are some of our weaknesses in terms of reaching those young people who are being recruited by gang members to go out and commit crimes? I think that the most important thing is, as Tony said, is the family. And I think that the problem is, and we can't expect the police department to solve this, and that's always been my position, that we as a community have to solve this problem. These are our children. They're not anybody else's children. They're children of us in this community. And we have to solve this problem. It is up to parents. It is up to brothers and sisters. It is up to uncles. It is up to grandfathers. He's a grandfather. Congratulations, Tony. I'm a great-grandfather, so I have another generation that I'm looking for. But the reason I ran for the Monterey County Office of Education is because I think one of the major solutions is education, is educational programs. And I think Monterey County Office of Education is doing a good job in terms of offering alternative programs to try to address some of the needs of some of these children that are lost. But I think we can look back and we can see that there's still a need for us to do more. And to young people out there, my words are, you know, it's easy. It's easy to not want to do anything in school. It's much harder to want to be successful in school. It takes a lot of hard work. But that's the solution to poverty. That's the solution to being out of a situation where you are pressured to become a member of one group or another. Education is the solution. And for parents and for young people, that's the solution. And I think we need to go back to our communities, rethink about what we're doing as parents and as community activists, as elected officials, and look at what else we need to do. I always look at international affairs in terms of what's happening in the Middle East and see that, the people that are fighting each other are usually brought together. We bring them to the table. Let's get these two people to talk. And I think we need to bring those people that are fighting with each other together to the table, and let's talk about how we can resolve those problems. There's no need for this. We need to move forward, and this community can, and I agree with the mayor that this community, there's a very small portion of the community that's creating these problems, but that very small portion has a tremendous impact on us. And I look forward to working with anybody, with our people in education, labor leaders, elected officials, and looking at what we're doing now and what else we can do to resolve some of these issues. Thank you.
We also have some representatives from our state and federal officials